I knew something was wrong the moment I woke up, and it wasn't because of where I was. It was because I felt rested. That alone didn't make sense. I hadn't truly slept in what felt like days. Every time I closed my eyes before, I heard him. Breathing, whispering, moving just outside my vision. But this time, there was nothing. No sound, no presence, no lingering dread waiting for me to slip again. I stayed still for a while, staring at the ceiling, almost afraid to move too quickly, like I might trigger something if I broke whatever this moment was. But the room didn't change. Morning light poured through the window, soft and steady, not flickering or distorted like it had been before. Real light. That's when I finally sat up. My body felt normal. Not tense, not exhausted, not on edge like it had been. Just normal. I checked the time. 7:42 a.m. For a second, I just stared at it, trying to process what that even meant. I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen a real morning, one that didn't feel like it was slipping away the second I noticed it. A quiet laugh escaped me before I could stop it. "I made it," I said under my breath, and even hearing the words out loud didn't feel real. Everything that had been happening, the sleepless nights, the voice, the constant feeling of being watched, it was just gone, just like that. I walked out into the hallway, expecting something to feel off, some kind of distortion or sign that this wasn't real. But everything looked exactly the way it should. The walls, the doors, even the silence, it all felt grounded, stable, like nothing had ever happened. I grabbed my phone and checked for anything unusual. Missed calls, strange timestamps, recordings I didn't remember making, anything that could prove the last few days had actually happened. There was nothing. Everything looked clean. Too clean. Still, I didn't question it, not yet. I stepped outside, and the air hit me differently than I expected. It felt fresh, almost too fresh, like I hadn't actually taken a full breath in a long time. Cars passed by like normal. Neighbors were outside, and one of them even waved at me casually. I waved back without thinking. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was finally awake. The feeling didn't last as long as I wanted it to. At first, it was subtle enough to ignore. I was standing in the kitchen making coffee when I glanced at the clock on the stove and noticed it still read 7:42. That didn't sit right with me. I could have sworn I'd been up for at least 10 minutes by then. I checked my phone again. 7:42. I stood there a little longer than I should have, watching the numbers like they might change if I focused hard enough. For a moment, nothing happened, and I could feel that familiar tightness starting to build in my chest again. Then, finally, it shifted to 7:43. I let out a slow breath and shook my head, trying to brush it off. "You're just paranoid," I muttered to myself, forcing a small laugh, like that would somehow make it true. I grabbed my coffee and headed back toward my room, but I stopped in the doorway. The door was open. Not wide, just slightly, like it had been pushed from the inside. I knew I had closed it. That wasn't something I forgot anymore, not after everything. Slowly, I pushed it open the rest of the way and stepped inside. At first glance, nothing looked out of place. The room was exactly how I left it, except for the bed. The sheets were disturbed, not messy like I'd left them, but shifted, like someone had been sitting there recently. A cold feeling crept up my spine as I backed away. I checked the closet. Empty. I checked under the bed. Nothing. The window was still locked from the inside. There was no sign that anyone had been there. And yet, the feeling didn't go away. If anything, it got stronger, like I wasn't alone anymore. The voice didn't come from the hallway or behind me like it used to. This time it came from somewhere deeper, somewhere I couldn't escape. You think this is waking up? The sound of it froze me in place instantly. I didn't need to turn around to know who it was. My grip tightened around the coffee cup in my hand, and for a moment, I couldn't even breathe. No, I said quietly, shaking my head. I stayed awake. That's how I beat you. A low, dry chuckle echoed in my ears, too close to be outside of me. You still believe that? Something about the room shifted then. It wasn't obvious, not at first, but everything felt slightly wrong, like the space around me had stretched just enough to throw everything out of alignment. I turned slowly toward the mirror on the wall, and that's when I saw him. Sleepless Jack wasn't behind me. He was standing beside me in the reflection, perfectly still. But he wasn't looking at me. His head was tilted slightly, his gaze fixed on something behind the version of me in the mirror, something I couldn't see from where I stood. I turned quickly, heart pounding, expecting to see something there. There was nothing. When I looked back at the mirror, he was gone. But something else had moved. The reflection of the room didn't match anymore. It was subtle, but I could feel it. Like the space behind me in the mirror wasn't the same room I was standing in. That's when everything started to fall into place, and somehow that realization felt worse than anything I'd experienced before. The light outside, the people, the quiet sense of normalcy. It wasn't real. It was too perfect. I rushed to the window and looked out at the street again, trying to prove myself wrong. But the longer I watched, the harder it became to ignore. The same car passed by. Then it passed again. A man walking his dog moved down the sidewalk in the exact same way, step for step, like he was caught in a loop that never ended. Nothing reacted to anything else. Everything just continued, over and over again. Behind me, I felt it before I heard it. You finally see it. I didn't turn around this time. I didn't want to. You escaped the nightmare, Sleepless Jack whispered, his voice right behind me now, close enough that I could feel it against my skin. There was a pause, just long enough for the weight of it to settle in. But this is where you wake up to realize you never left. Something cold brushed against the back of my neck, and my entire body locked in place. You don't need sleep anymore, he continued, almost calmly, because you're already inside it. From the kitchen, the clock clicked. I didn't want to look, but I already knew. 7:42, again. And then, right next to my ear, stay awake if you can. This tape was never meant to be found, but now that you've seen it, you're part of it. If anything feels off, don't ignore it. And whatever you do, don't rewind. Subscribe for the next transmission.